Welcome back, everyone. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about Matterport, a spatial data company that provides a platform that brings the real world to a 3D immersive environment. Matterport provides 3D cameras as well as virtual tour software platforms that allows users to be able to digitize their buildings, especially in the real estate industry. Now, there's other use cases for it as well. However, real estate is their main sector. Now, Matterport is a pretty exciting company because it's not only a leader in this space, but they're providing not only a hardware product, but also a software platform. So without further ado, let's dive right into what Matterport is all about. So let's first give a company overview of Matterport. Now, Matterport is in the building stock industry, which is around $230 trillion globally, and it largely remains offline. Now, there's 4 billion buildings, which is the largest asset class in the world, with 20 billion spaces. Now, this is all ripe for disruption. With Matterport, you can take your building online to design, build, promote, and manage your most valuable asset at your fingertips. Today, Matterport transforms buildings into data, and tomorrow their data will increase the value of every building. Now, Matterport claims that they're defining this category and that they're the clear market leader. We can see that they've seen substantial growth in both subscribers and spaces under management. In 2018, they had about 14,000 subscribers. However, in 2020, the number bloomed to 250,000, representing an 18 times subscriber growth. Now, their run rate is around $100 million, with 10 billion square feet captured, and their services are in over 150 countries and counting. Now, Matterport is used in a wide array of different stages in the property lifecycle. We can see that they're working in hospitality, to commercial, to the industrial industry. However, they're working on every single stage within this process, from designing to building, promoting, all the way to repairing. Now, they have over 250,000 customers across diverse verticals, and we can see that they're working in real estate as one of their cash cows, AEC, travel and hospitality, repair and insurance, which could be huge for them, and industrial and facilities. Now, Matterport is aiming to become the digital platform for the built world, and they're comparing themselves to Zoom, Netflix, and PayPal. Although I don't think this is the best representation of a comparison, and it's not apples to apples, I believe they're trying to emphasize their software business and that they have a potential market cap of $100 billion in the future. Now, can it get there? I don't know. That's a pretty lofty projection and valuation for the company in the future. So I think we have to take it with a grain of salt, but it's good to see that they're seeing very fast growth over the past couple years. Now, they're labeling their total addressable market opportunity to be about $240 billion. Now, their illustrative ARR with a 1% penetration would translate to 200 million spaces, leading to 2.4 billion ARR, or annual recurring revenue. Now, if they far surpass that 1% penetration to 5%, they're claiming it could be 1 billion spaces with an annual recurring revenue of 12 billion. Now, what I like about Matterport is that they have a big focus on their technology. Now, their technology allows for AI-powered 3D reconstruction, typically done by their main camera. However, they now have the ability to do so just through a smartphone. They have an extensible platform ecosystem, a spatial data library with millions of buildings and spaces, and AI-powered insights, focusing on computer vision analysis, deep spatial indexing, and what I think could be the biggest one is the search engine for buildings. Now, we can see how in depth they go. We can see that they're able to measure segments, floor, and rooms. They're able to identify and classify different objects within the room, and they're able to measure it to be able to measure the size of different objects within the space. So the prime use case is being able to use the spatial data to enable remote property management, which I believe, as we've seen with COVID-19 and people having to stay home, this could really be a game changer for the whole entire industry. So let's talk about the business strategy. They believe that they have multiple vectors for continued growth. Now, they're first working on unlocking the SaaS flywheel by building out their smartphone capability, accelerating subscriber growth, and scaling capture services. After that, they plan on expanding different use cases, expanding internationally, and creating a third-party marketplace, which I believe could be a huge growth driver for their business. So as a quick demo, I wanted to see it for yourself. So we can see all the different use cases for it, first being retail, Second, commercial real estate, museums and historical sites, all the way to insurance and restoration, education, to architecture and engineering. So let's take a deep dive into retail. So we're going to be exploring the 3D space into this antique shop. Okay, so here we are in this immersive 3D real world. We can see all these different bubbles, which you can click on, and you can actually see this item and where you can get it from. It's really helpful for realtors to be able to value different items within a space. So if we look around, we can go ahead and see it's fully immersive, it's totally 360, and from here on we can start walking. It's very similar to Google Maps, where you're able to just click around and go to the spot. Now, a couple cool features that I wanted to call out is the first one being to view the dollhouse. You can go ahead and see it as a dollhouse view. You can see all the different rooms. You can click into an individual room and see it for yourself. The second one is going to be the aerial view, or the floor plan. It's really cool as you're able to see it from top down, and likewise, you're able to click in and be able to see where you want. But this is really good for realtors to really understand the whole entire floor plan and to better understand what it actually looks like. Another feature is that you can view the space in virtual reality if you have a VR headset, so you can also be fully immersed in it as well. So now that we know what Matterport is all about, let's talk about their financials. So as we talked about earlier, they're seeing very strong subscriber growth, with 18 times in the past 2 years. Along this, their subscription gross margin is 82%, which is very high. They're seeing very strong retention and customer loyalty, with a net revenue retention over 112%, meaning that the customers who are staying with their product are actually paying more over time. Now, the revenue growth from 2019 to 2020 was 87%, so they're growing very healthily. And the great thing about Matterport is they're focusing on becoming less of a hardware business to be more of a software business, and they're accelerating the subscription mix quite heavily. So now we're just taking a look at their total revenue from 2019 projected all the way to 2025 and their total gross margins. Now they're projecting around 60% compound annual growth rate from 2019 to 2025. And you can see over time, as it continues to scale, they believe that their gross margin percentage will increase quite drastically from 56% in 2020 all the way up to 73% in 2025. Now they're also seeing very attractive unit economics, as they're seeing 4.7 times growth of their lifetime to cost per acquisition costs and 70% improvement on their cost per acquisition cost payback. Now, their existing business has proven profitable unit economics, which helps support investing in growth and scaling existing markets. Now, their average revenue per subscriber is $109, leading to $89 in gross profit, and after taking out sales and marketing operating expenses, it comes out to $22. Now, in 2020, they did about $86 million. However, they believe that they have strong revenue growth forecasted for years to come. Now, their 2021 revenue is 123, and 2022 is 203. So with that, let's dive into the transaction, as we know that they're going to be merging with a special purpose acquisition company. Now, the pro forma enterprise value is going to be at $2.3 billion, which is 11 times multiple of 2022 revenue and is 7 times 2023 revenue. Now we can compare Matterport against other notable companies in the space, which is everything from high growth SaaS all the way to mature software. Now looking at both 2022 and 2023 revenue growth and gross margins, it looks like Matterport is sitting pretty healthily above all these averages. Now comparing them on a valuation basis with their price to sales, 2022 and 2023, as well as their price to sales growth, Matterport is both drastically under the average as well. So I wanted to take a more detailed look at their actual financials. So we're taking a quick look at their income statement. We can see in 2019 and 2020, they did $46 and $86 million in revenue, respectively. Now in 2019, they had a net loss of around $27 million. However, that narrowed drastically to about $4 million. Now the key callouts that I see is that they don't plan on being profitable until 2024. However, the revenue growth rate is pretty healthy, and we can see over time, a lot of it is going to be filled up with subscription as opposed to product. So in 2020, their subscription revenue was about $42 million, which is more than their product revenue, around $33. Now this year in 2021, that number for subscription is going to go up to 66, and product aims to stay about flat. So really the driving factor behind this is their subscription growth as well as their other products like licenses and services. Now, they're not really projecting any more growth for their product as they're putting a lot more emphasis and focus on these other areas. And as Matterport is able to continuously grow their subscription business, we can see that their margins are going to grow exponentially, which is really going to help them become profitable in the future. So with that, let's sum it up. They have a massive, unpenetrated $240 billion total addressable market. They're a market leader fueling the digital transformation of the built world. They have unrivaled software and data platform with significant expansion opportunities. They have global blue chip customers spanning diverse markets. They're seeing rapid growth, efficient customer acquisition, and expanding margins. And lastly, they have a proven leadership team with large-scale platform expertise. Now, as for risk factors, I think there's many different points that we need to think of. However, these are most commonly associated with a newer, fast-growing tech company. Now, I think these are all pretty general factors that we're looking at right now, such as that they're a fast-growing company and they expect to invest in growth for the future. However, if they fail to manage growth effectively, its business, operating results, and financial condition could be adversely affected. They're also saying that their forecasts and projections are based on assumptions. They also have a history of losses and expects it to incur significant expenses and continuing losses for at least the near term. They also face competition from a number of companies and expects to face significant competition in the future as the market for spatial data develops. They also rely on a number of suppliers for certain supplied hardware components, and the availability of supplied hardware components may be affected by factors such as tariffs or supply disruptions caused by COVID-19. Because Matterport stores, processes, and uses data, some of which contains personal information, they're subject to complying with evolving federal, state, and foreign laws regarding privacy and data protection. Their future growth and success is dependent upon the continuing rapid adoption of spatial data. And really, the list goes on. However, for me, there's no big risk factors that stand out, other than that they may face a lot of competition in the near future. And two, there's uncertainty on how quick the adoption will be for spatial data. Now, for me personally, I definitely see this as being the future. So I can definitely see this being adopted more and more. However, I think it's up to you guys to really assess this and to really understand where you see this whole entire industry going. Well, that was my breakdown of Matterport. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this company, as well as what you plan on doing with the stock. Now, whenever I look into investment, I always like to understand their moat, or their competitive advantage. Now, I think Matterport has a pretty strong unrivaled value proposition as it's already the leader in this space and it has a first mover advantage. Now, the real estate industry has a huge total addressable market, so it seems like they have a huge opportunity ahead of them. Now, as we talked about earlier, Matterport has several different products, so it means that they have a pretty diversified revenue stream. Now, their business strategy is to focus more on their software and subscription business, so over time, it'll help out with their gross margins, and as they continue to ramp, it'll help them reach profitability. Now, it's definitely going to take quite a bit of time for them to reach profitability, as they're planning on hitting that in 2024. However, I think it's really important for them to continue to invest heavily back into the business as they continue to ramp up and start getting a lot more market share in this whole entire industry. Now, I think it's really important for them to continue to penetrate this market and to continue with this first mover advantage. Now, I have a lot of high hopes for Matterport because they're working in the virtual reality industry, which is set to continue to exponentially grow over the next decade. So what am I going to do with the stock? Well, today, on Thursday, I decided to build a position after this dip around $16. Now, I personally think anything under $20 would be a solid long-term hold. However, I think anything in the range of $15 to $17 is a pretty good entry point. I think their valuations are pretty reasonable given their growth rates and their opportunity, so that's why I decided to build a position. So with that, guys, thanks as always for sticking around. I appreciate all the support in the past couple months. With that, I'll see you in the next video, and let's go get that bag.